Now, and Erik, how did you get started having your daughter go to karate? How cool is this?
Oh, I thought she was going to karaoke. It's karate?
I was excited. I was like, cool,
I'm
drink.
like, now I'm disappointed.
Yeah. I had like father-daughter duets lined up. It was good, but no, it's just karate. So
It was all Boys to Men and Mariah Carey. I mean, that's all he had lined up.
yeah, I was set. I was like, I had all my like 90s fantasy playlist songs ready to go, and now nothing.
Now, I should totally take a technical question, but now I have to ask something of each of you because this is hilarious. So when you were like you all have kids and you're all thinking, all right, you're going to get them started on music. What's like the first CD you would want to play them that's yours that you would be like, here, I want you to appreciate this? Not like SpongeBob music or anything like that because you know they're just focused on that. But when you go here, this is a piece of music I want you to appreciate. What do you play them?
Is that the Pointer Sisters?
No.
Josie and the Pussycats. No.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
No.
That's fair. Yeah. No. He has the LP on his desk. That says a lot about Erik.
No, really. Oh, screw this. This is why people stop buying records. They're impossible to put away. It would be this one.
That's
That's what I would go
Purple
with.
Rain by Prince.
That would be.
Sure. That's good. Now, Richie, how about you? And don't say Hamilton because that's not fair.
Well, they're way ahead on that one. Guess what we're listening to on the way home from Black Panther last night?
Black Panther soundtrack?
No, Hamilton.
Oh.
Yeah, they're not ready for the Kendrick Lamar yet. They're not quite there yet. I would probably, it either between Miles Davis Kind of Blue or Sixpence None the Richer, This Beautiful Mess.
Oh, wow.
One of those two. So
Okay. Makes sense.
Oh, you want sad kids?
I think, aren't all kids sad at some point? That's what kids are. Erin, how about you?
I don't have an answer for that. I just always just play whatever music I want to listen to in the car. So they've been exposed to heavy metal, new metal type stuff. Yeah, they've been exposed to it. I only change it, if the song's very bad, it's foul language.
Yeah.
It's Five Finger Death Punch or Metallica.
As a matter of fact, Five Finger Death Punch, my son loves. That's one of his favorite bands. That and Skillet.
Wow. All right. There we go.
Interesting.
All right, so we'll get started with the technical questions. Deborah says, last week I restored a database, yay, from a test server to a production server. Wait, what?
More than I did last week.
From a test server over to a production server. At some point in the process, the admin user for that database was changed to one that resides on the production server, and then removed the proper database, which caused the app's admin user not to function. Found a couple articles, but no reason about why that happened. I would like to prevent them from happening in the future. Oh, can anyone
Is that
give
just an orphaned user?
That's my guess. So
Yeah.
explain what orphan users are.
Oh, I can't. I just remember having to do that when I restored databases a long time
Yeah.
ago. Like
Every
you have
single
to
time you
run-
restore, you run the script.
Yeah.
That's all I
I paid
remember.
no attention to it. It was like, yeah, there was a thing, there was a one, there was a username, and that was it.
So when you create a login in SQL Server, it creates a SID, a security identifier, and you don't usually get to pick the SID. It just automatically creates a SID. You could create with a specific SID if you wanted to, but it's unique to that login on that machine. Well, you can create the same login name on a different SQL server, but when that database comes across, it's got a different SID. So the username may not be able to log in if it's the wrong default database or a default database that person can't access. So there's a stored procedure you can run sp change users login. And I never remember where the underscore is. There's like only
It's
two.
all of them, I think.
Yeah,
I think it's all, yeah.
It might
In
be.
between each letter, there's an underscore.
Worst casing ever. Yeah, so sp change users login, or you can just drop that login on both servers and then recreate it with the same SID. Anytime you Google for sp change users logins, you'll find more information about how to drop and recreate that guy the right way permanently. Sri asks, how do we open up a case with Microsoft? I'm just wondering about the process if I ever have to open up one.
I always saved the 1-800 number in a file so that I had it because it was hard to find the phone number. But I was a Premier account, and I don't know if that's available to everybody.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think how you open a case depends on what level of support you bought into. I get nothing from Developer Edition, honestly. Joe Stack just responds to my emails graciously once in a while. That's fine. That's all I get.
Yeah, if you don't have some
email him, do you just say, hey, honey, how are you doing? Can you help me with this?
No, I text him directly. Email, come on.
Hey, sweetie, it's me again.
I don't even know
Also,
where
if
to go
you,
with that.
I'm going to guess that if you're asking that question, you don't have like a dedicated person that you email. So, you're stuck. Brent, you have the hand thing again.
I know. I can't. It's so weird. I point over on one side, and I don't think it goes the other way.
I caught that, and I was like, Erik, no, hand, what?
So bizarre. Let's see. Pablo says, "Hola, amigos. How do I interpret work files and work tables logical reads? Is it always on TempDB?"
Yep. So work files and work tables get spun up usually for hashing operations. Sometimes, as you'll find out in an upcoming blog post, they happen for merge joins when they are many-to-many, when there are duplicates in the in the join columns. But yeah, they are all directed to TempDB. That's where they do their dirty work. And it's the same, number of 8K page reads that you would see for a regular table or logical reads or any of the other stuff.
Kevin has a follow-up on the support case, and this horrifies me. Kevin says, something to know. Last time I opened a case with Microsoft, I found out they are outsourcing it to a company called Convergys or something like that. I know it's been different by product too, and like for out of support products, they've farmed it out too before, but
nobody wants to work on it.
No. You call in with a merge replication program. Hold on.
I'm going to guess that Kevin either has SharePoint or Dynamics. If he's getting sent off to someone else, he's probably getting sent off to some like Microsoft partner consultant who does that kind of work.
Yeah. Brandon asks, what kind of camera is everyone using to cast themselves? I think we all do have different webcams. What webcams?
No, we all have the same one. You
bought us all the same one.
You all bought the Brio. Oh, yeah. I couldn't remember if we do that. We all use the Logitech Brio then. Yeah, Logitech Brio. It's 4K. It has really nice light sensitivity. I like it a lot. The only thing is it says in there that it's got a tripod mount on the bottom. So if you're like me, I tried to unscrew it so that I could put it on a tripod mount. It's not a real tripod mount. So all I've done is broken the mount on my webcam. So now it kind of flops around on the top of my screen, and I got to go get a new one. Can't turn it in under warranty either because it's just clearly that I broke it. Uday asks a question that we will have passionate responses about. He says, I am trying to build a home lab, and I wanted to know if there would be an advantage to buying a pre-built server, like, say, a Dell PowerEdge, versus building a machine using consumer parts. Tara, you are of one camp. We're all like of different camps here. Tara, yep. Your hardware budget is up. What do you think about doing with your hardware budget this year?
I still haven't submitted it. The Dell Precision 3000 series. I don't want to have to mess with it. So I want to just get whatever hardware I need and have them test it and have a warranty on it. Whereas Erik, bought a piece here, bought a piece there, then dealt with all sorts of incompatibilities. I just don't have the patience for that. And frankly, I don't have the knowledge for that type of stuff. I'd make Mike do that kind of work. And he keeps saying that let's build it from scratch. Like, no, I really don't want to.
But it's so gratifying when it gets working. I actually didn't have too many problems with compatibility. I used a website called PC Part Picker, and I was able to get all that stuff weeded out up front and kind of figure out which CPU.
Like you had issues, or you had to return some items.
Yeah, well, my issues weren't because of technical problems. They were because of dirty customer problems, where someone had returned their old motherboard in a box. And then what was it? Can't remember the name of it. Had sold me the motherboard.
Micro Center.
Open box. Micro Center sold me the open box motherboard for like $80 less. And when I got home and I started looking at like bent pins on the CPU connector, I was like, wait a minute. I don't think this is legit. And then
this is why it was $80 less.
Yeah, and I returned it, and of course I walk into the store and I'm like, you sold me the wrong motherboard. This one's broken. And all the salespeople are like, really? Tell me more. like, no, seriously, I just brought this home. It's broken. But yeah, I don't know. I built mine just because I got all excited about Nick Craver had published the Stack Overflow developer desktop build on his website, and I was looking at that and I was like, that's really cool. I wanted to try my hand at building that, and then I ended up buying some other stuff. And since I got a new laptop this year, next year I'm looking at what pieces of that I might upgrade with next year's budget.
Like, you really didn't buy a laptop. It's like like a technical coaster is kind of what you got.
He got
Yeah,
a
but I-
hand-me-down.
Ugh.
Yeah, well, I got Jeremiah's old laptop when I came on here, so
Oh, snap.
It is old. Although it is still faster than Andy Leonard's, and I can say this because Andy's on here. I'm like, Andy's got the generation before, and during
Wow.
Andy's class, his power went out, and he and I had been talking in the morning. I'm like, well, how's the battery life? And he's like, oh, it doesn't work worth a dang. You know, whenever power guy unplug it, it immediately goes dark quick. And so all of a sudden, we got to see a live test of how Andy's battery countdown went during
Yep.
his outage.
I was stuck with an old laptop when I worked at Qualcomm for at least 2 to 3 years longer than I should have. And I eventually, I just couldn't even do my job anymore. I was like, listen, I'm a production DBA. I need to be able to do my job.
Yes.
And finally they replaced it.
Sri follows up with how much RAM and SSD space do we have? So I never didn't answer either. I have a home lab of an Apple Mac Pro, which is the trash can looking things. I have 64 gigs of RAM and 4 terabytes of SSD space. Erik, how about you?
I have, let's see, 3.6 gigahertz, 6-core processor, 128 gigs of RAM, and I have my SSDs in a RAID. I bought a dock, and I have 6 terabyte SSDs in a RAID that gives me about 2.5-ish terabytes. Terabyte PCI NVMe M2 card, and a big 8 terabyte spinning piece of crap to just back stuff up to.
Richie, how about you?
Okay, so
Which computer?
God.
Yeah. There we go.
Why did I ask?
save your money for fixing your plumbing. Go to the cloud. Just do all the cloud stuff, right? Don't buy hardware. All your database is going to be in the cloud anyway. Just go to the cloud. You know, use your Cosmo
Pay by the hour.
DB, use your Redshift, use RDS, Aurora. Get to know all of them. Save your dough. Go to the cloud.
And then what happens if you need to go someplace where there's no Wi-Fi and show stuff that you're doing? You can't really. The
And
cloud
then
doesn't
don't-
pan out.
Don't go to Doug Lane's house. Just
Okay. Fine.
Richie opens up his backpack and takes out one of half a dozen laptops.
that's correct.
Collectively have maybe 1 terabyte of space. Tara,
Actually,
how
no,
about you?
each one has a terabyte except for the Surface.
Mine is a lot smaller than you guys, which is why I need a new one. So 20 gigabytes of RAM. It came with a lot less, but we did upgrade that. And just 500 gigabytes of disk space. I'm looking at a terabyte and 64 gigabytes of RAM for my next machine. I'll still use the laptop, but I need something with more power so I can, do large memory grant demos, because that's what my machine just could not keep up. And, it wasn't enough disk space either.
Oh, man. Kevin says, how do you let your dev folks give themselves database owner permissions on a database without giving themselves SA permissions?
If it's dev, it's a question for dev or prod?
Oh, God, I hope it's dev.
Yeah.
It's dev. I let everybody have DB owner. I don't care.
Don't.
Production, they get
don't.
access, maybe.
Don't even give them read access.
In prod, he's saying.
In prod, don't do it. But now on a dev machine, give them all access. Shoot,
Yeah,
give
who
them
cares?
SA. Who cares?
I don't give them SA because then I have to fix the server. But yeah, database, I can at least easily restore their database.
Let them go off. Let them screw with it. Let them play with the new features. Let them do all that stuff. This is how they learn and try to do all the bad ideas that they have, like use service broker and all this other crazy stuff. Go let them do whatever they want in dev. Now in production, don't even give them read access. Forget it. I mean, it's the same thing I did to Brent. I didn't give him.
I was just going to say, we should point out the irony here that Richie is our developer and Richie has complete access to every environment, development, production, whatever. I own the company and I don't have write access to our production databases. And I don't want it.
And there's a reason for it, Brent. When you stop breaking the builds,
Someday.
and so a few weeks ago I put in database tests. He goes off and changes a value in one of the database creation scripts, and it breaks the build.
Yeah, I have like a 100% build failure rate.
But hey, they work, right? The database tests, they work great.
Yeah, love it.
one of my managers a few jobs ago, he was my mentor, 20 years ago. The reason why I became a SQL Server DBA and really got good at things. And he later moved away from SQL Server and into management and then other technologies. And he then became my manager again. And here I've got this extremely mission critical SQL 2012 availability group system, a very complex system. And he's like, oh, I probably should get access again. It's been years since he touched. I was like, no, nope, can't have it now.
Nope. No good is going to come of me touching our production SQL instances. Nope. Andy asks, is there a way to auto shrink all of my databases with a single command?
Andy Leonard, I see. I was going to say, this is a troll.
And there is, because I had a client doing this. You run SPMS for each DB and then DBCC shrink, whatever, and it's unbelievable. It actually works.
I thought that was SP shrink Buck Woody.
Ah, yes. That's why you don't give him access to the database. Let's see. Next one, Anonymous says, our IT group wants us to start logging individual logins, including those within Active Directory groups, what changes and what actions they perform. I believe this would be difficult for us and will impact performance on our low RAM server.
Low RAM server.
How low? Not that I think more RAM is going to help this. But Brent had the best answer to this. I forget if it was in office hours or via email or something a while back, where it was just like, imagine if you came into work and instead of just doing things, you had to write down everything you did before you did it, then go do something, then like write down what you did after you did it, and like what changed, and then like that was your day. And just like imagine how much slower your life would be if you had to like, take note of everything you did before and after you did it. That's kind of how SQL Server is going to treat the whole experience. It's not good for you.
It's never going to get faster, that's for sure.
No.
Yeah, if you really want to audit who does what, you buy a third-party appliance like Guardium or Imperva, and they sit in between SQL Server and the network. They log everything. They're supposed to work at wire speeds, but these are six-figure appliances. They're not cheap.
Yeah. There's a reason that
SQL
SQL Server is free.
To get this with low RAM server.
Low RAM server.
Hey, you know what? That's a better name for it than like SQL 01. Like low RAM.
There you go.
Prod 42. Joseph says, what's a good resource for me? And I'm going to step back and ask a bigger question. Joseph, should I use Docker or Kubernetes to use SQL Server development environments?
Never even heard of Kubernetes. Is that how you pronounce it too? I feel like there's extra letters in there.
He wrote it, but he couldn't spell. He couldn't write it.
Yeah, I can't. Well, if you can't spell it, I can't answer it.
Richie, is there anything that would make you choose Docker or Kubernetes for a SQL Server dev environment?
I don't like either. I don't like either for SQL Server. Just I haven't jumped onto the Docker bandwagon yet. And I'm just not a fan for having it's easy to install and everything, but there's value in going through the install experience yourself and picking what things you want and whatnot, especially for a developer, just getting into SQL Server. And I'm assuming you're going to want a developer instance on each developer laptop. I guess I would go Docker if you put a gun to my head. But I haven't jumped onto the whole Docker thing. I'm a bare metal type guy. I work for Brent Ozar Unlimited. We do database stuff. What makes you think I wouldn't be a bare metal guy? I mean, I think that was one of the questions. What do you think about virtual machines? Bare metal? It's faster, I guess. I don't know.
This is coming from the guy who runs serverless.
Yes.
Not only is the OS abstracted away, but the platform is. We could be running on Commodore 64s and on Pluto. We wouldn't know.
Yeah, but I don't have to worry about that, right? I mean, I don't have to worry about spinning them up or anything. It's there, and it's there in less than a second most of the time. I've been keeping track of it.
Joseph says he owes a six-figure salary largely to you guys. Really appreciate what you do.
We take cash, checks, booze, steak, however you want to owe it to us. You can choose, and we'll graciously accept.
Japanese whiskey.
Yeah.
No Docker containers. Don't pay us in Docker containers.
None of those fancy PowerShell dollar signs either. I know those tricks.
Query bucks, we print those ourselves. Anonymous follows up with, hey, Richie, I am a noob researching Git for version control, and I don't understand what we would need. Our company has a Git repository, but what clients do our developers need? What is like Git Tortoise? Do they need Visual Studio Team Services too? What should I do to start this from scratch?
Nope. All you really need is Git for Windows, and I believe Phil Hack and team at GitHub kind of has a nice client for that. There's also a GitHub or Git for Windows, I believe, and for JavaScript that you could download that works pretty well. I know. I use SourceTree occasionally, so if you wanted a client to use that, but really the best way to learn Git is through the command line. I kind of recommend that for kind of everyone getting used to it, because then you understand the bare metal, how everything kind of works, and then you can graduate to whatever client that you want. You don't need Visual Studio, you don't need anything like that. It's all kind of right there. A tutorial that may help out Joel Spolsky, and I believe it was for Mercurial, but Git and Mercurial are so close to one another that you could just walk through the Mercurial tutorial, and he has a really great way of explaining the concepts just in that one. And I forget what it's called, but just Google Joel Spolsky Mercurial tutorial or whatever, and you'll get that. Walk through that. It's only a few pages, and you'll get a better idea of how Git works and the Git workflow and whatnot from a Mercurial standpoint.
So weird too. Like distributed version control is so different from what I used to deal with Visual Source Safe and Team Foundation and all that. It's very different. And
yeah,
good. I like it.
It's so much better. I mean, I'll take this, for an example. Yesterday, Brent made a check-in, and there was a conflict on the merge. No, it was a fine. It was a fine change. It was a conflict because I had also changed the same file. I went to GitHub and said, here, let me just go ahead and merge it. Did the manual merge, just deleted what was wrong and just kept what was right, and hit submit, and boom, everything was there. But he ran it on his own machine. I ran it on mine. All the tests passed. Everything looked good. But just when we kind of merged it together, that's the kind of the special sauce of the distributed. Everything kind of works where you're at, and it's just kind of when we kind of put it all together, that's when some of the problems happen. But for us, 90% of the time, 95% of the time, no merge. Everything works great, and just keeps
everything works great because there's no merge. Keep all that code out.
Conflict.
Well, no, it does the merge, but there's no conflicts, right?
Yeah,
there's no conflicts.
Well, also 95% of the time, you're the only one doing the development.
Hey, I've messed myself up. All right, I've done branches, because I'm working on different bugs at the same time, and you collide with yourself. Happens.
I mean, my only experience with it is GitHub Desktop, and I was surprised at how easy that made it to do it. Really, it's really intuitive, the interface. I had to go into someone else's pull request and do stuff, and I was able to do that really easily, just a couple of drop downs, and there I was, and I could fix things. And I was like, because I'm dumb. If you want to think about a target audience for the lowest common denominator, you need to explain things to with pretty drawings and charts and stuff. I'm it. And so if I can figure out a user interface, I'm amazed. I'm like, wow, that's
GitHub for Windows has really, GitHub Desktop, I guess they call it now, but has really improved since it originally came out. I mean, it's a lot better.
Sri asks, if we have tables where millions of rows are inserted and then deleted, like loading happening, do we need to shrink the database, or should we just update stats to bring back and not play around with use space?
Shrink everything.
I mean, how often are you doing this? Inserting certainly won't be shrinking it, but deleting, I mean, if this is a one-time shrink where you're purposely deleting a lot of data and want to recover space, one-time shrinks I'm okay with, but not regularly. Sounds like this is a more of a scheduled process. I wouldn't be doing shrinks for sure. I never ever schedule shrinks ever.
Why don't you want to? What's the bad thing of scheduling shrinks? What's it do in terms of performance?
Well, I mean, the shrink, I mean, it can cause blocking, but that's not really the reason why I wouldn't do it. It's just I'm going to need that space again, so that's what, it also causes fragmentation, and, it's just no reason for it. That when you have to auto grow back out, that's an expensive operation. And if it's the log file, especially because you don't get instant file initialization, even if you have that set up, it has to be zero initialized. So if your auto growth is a gigabyte, there's going to be a pause. It's going to probably do it fast unless you're on some kind of really, really slow IO backend. But
slow SAN.
Yeah, slow SAN.
No, we know about that this week. Steve says, any general comments about what causes excessive memory grants?
Excessive memory.
Having too much of it lying around, you just end up giving it away.
Varchar max.
My money.
Yeah, so there are like the two main things in SQL Server that will cause a query to get a memory grant are sorts and hashes. So you need to sort data because you don't have an index that supports a sort order. You get that. Or if SQL chooses a hash join or hash match, it'll request memory to do that. Tara is absolutely spot on that one of the things that impacts the size of the memory grant is the size of the data that needs to be processed via the sort or the hashing operation. So, if you're thinking about larger string data, that'll certainly impact the memory grant. The number of rows that have to be sorted will impact the memory grant and all sorts of other good stuff. So, poor cardinality estimates can certainly contribute to that, but most of the time it's just, something that you need to fix or tune with the query or indexes.
All right, and that's it for this week's Office Hours. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us, and we will see y'all next week. Adios.
Bye.